In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to calculate the line of best fit, also called a regression equation. So the first thing you need is a set of data. And what you're going to do is you're going to take that data set and you're going to put it into the calculator. To do that, we're going to go to Stat, and we're going to choose option 1, which is Edit. And so you'll go ahead and press Enter. This should bring up your L1, L2, L3, or your list columns. We're only going to be working with L1 and L2. I'm going to first start by putting all of my X values, or my independent variables, into my L1, or my list 1 column. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. My data is going to look like this: 5, and then I'm going to press Enter, 12, Enter, and so forth, until you finish the data set for the X values. Okay, once you get your X values in, I'm going to use the directional arrows and use the right arrow button to bump over to the L2 column. In the L2 column, I'm going to put in all of my Y values, or my dependent variables. So I'm going to go ahead and put the data in. Okay, now that your data is in, double check and make sure all of your data values are correct, and make sure that they line up. Notice how 26 and 68 are the last 2 digits of my data, and they line up in the 2 columns. If you have an additional item in one of the columns, your line of regression will not be able to calculate properly. All right, now that your data is in, let's go ahead and first look at what it looks like on the scatter plot. So to do that, we're going to press second, y equals. And the reason we press second is the blue option where it says stat plot is actually what we want. And in order to get that, we have to press the second button. Once we press second y equals, we're going to choose option 1, which is plot 1. Right now, the scatter plot is off, and we want to turn it on. So go ahead and press enter, and then press enter again, and now your scatter plot is on. If you ever want to graph a regular equation from this point, you have to make sure that you go and turn the plot off before you do that. Okay, now that we're on, we're going to press graph so that we can see the data. You can see that with the given graph that they give us, we can only see one of the coordinates. To see all of the data points, we have to press zoom, and then we're going to choose option 9, which is zoom stat. And now we can see all of the data points. Now, what we want to do is we want to calculate the line of best fit that's going to go through that data. To calculate, we're going to press Stat. We're going to go to the right over to Calc, and we're going to choose option 4, which is LinReg, AX plus B, which is linear regression. So I'm going to choose option 4. And now I'm going to calculate my line of regression. And to do that, you're just going to press enter a couple of times until you get down to calculate, and then calculate your line. Now, here is where we have the line. So you can see y equals ax plus b. It looks very similar to y equals mx plus b, where you're going to substitute your slope of a into the equation and your y-intercept of b into the equation. Once you do that, you have your line of regression. Now, you may want to see what the line looks like on your graph. To do that, you have to calculate the line first, which is what we did here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the y equals button. We're going to choose the button vars. We're going to choose option 5, statistics. We're going to go over to the right to EQ, press enter. And you can see what it did is it took that calculated equation and it popped it into our y1. Now let's go ahead and press graph. And there's your line of regression.